Hello, it's me, Kate Smalling. What a lovely rhyme. And it is also spring in Toronto, which is just the best change of pace. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start a thing where I do, we'll call it One Take Tuesday. And my vlogs for the next little bit are just going to be like one cut, one take of me riffing on whatever the hell I feel like riffing on, which if you watched anything previously, you might be asking yourself, isn't that what you've already been doing? Because, excuse me, as we all know, I'm not really one for notes or preparing or heavy editing. So this is pretty much what I've been doing all along, just a little bit different. And let me share with you how I came to this. Have you ever done this thing where you have tried taking your own advice? Let me explain. I was feeling great in January. That's when I started sending out my newsletter. It's when I started doing these YouTube videos. I was just like showing up, feeling great. Things were good. And then February, March, I started feeling really out of whack, for lack of a better word. And I've had a lot of life transition going on. And I just wasn't feeling good about how I was showing up anymore. And I figured out that this is what happened. So, longer story maybe, but as you might know, I had a concussion in the fall, so I was off work, and then that kind of led to this whole like life overhaul. So now this year, I've been kind of getting back into things with freelance work. I have a business, Craft Uncommon, that I've wanted to start for years. Like, it's just been on the back burner of my brain for a long time. And this is a year where I'm like, okay, I'm going to start building that. But then I'm sort of thinking, okay, what's that going to look like? Starting that, how long is that going to take? How much money, time, like all of those things. And how am I going to basically support myself through that? Like, how am I going to keep paying my rent while I build this business, which might take me years to get off the ground, and that's fine because it's really important to me I do that right, which will be a topic for another video, or possibly actually this week's newsletter. So I got to thinking, okay, what if I can do freelance work, and for me, I write blog content for fintech companies. So I can do that, that's fine. Or it's like, what if I made tracing threads like a thing? Like, what if that was actually a blogger blog? Like, what if I made that into a proper blog that I monetized in some way? I work with people to produce content. I look at getting sponsors, like not in a lot of the ways that people go about that make me kind of vom a little in my mouth. But sort of thinking, I had come up in my brain with a way that could maybe look, that would feel good for me. And it was like, well, wouldn't that be perfect if Tracing Threads can kind of support the growth of Craft Uncommon, both as like, it's kind of the platform that I show up on right now, and what if it could financially support it? Like, how cool would that be? Here, my friend, is the thing. So as soon as I had that in my brain somewhere that, oh, Tracing Thread should be a thing, like capital T thing, I thought, okay, I've got to redo my website because right now it's a really casual, basic blog. So I probably have to make one of those home pages with the sections that like tells you all the things and like makes me look like an expert or fancy or I don't know. And then I have to blog regularly again, and I should do like city guides, and just all this stuff started coming up. And it's not like I didn't like all of it. It just felt, I don't know, something about it felt off. And the most interesting part is, as soon as that idea was in my head, the idea to monetize Tracing Threads, I just started showing up differently. My posture changed and the way I was showing up. on Instagram, on my stories, the way I was writing some of my captions, even some of my newsletters, it just started feeling weird, and I was editing myself in a way that I didn't like. Because for me, a business isn't about you. A business is about other people and serving other people. For me, Tracing Threads is totally me. It's a personal blog that I happen to have a name attached to that's not my own name, but it's really just me and my creative exploration. Like, that's it. It's a space for me to play, to explore, like to really just do whatever the hell that I want. And because I have a business brain too, as soon as I put that hat on of like, this is a business thing and how could I monetize this? It's really hard for me to separate it out. So then I had kind of taken away this spot that was just supposed to be for play, and I didn't feel good. So now I see that, okay, Tracing Threads needs to stay like just me. Like, Tracing Threads is Kate Smalley. Again, it's just where I play. It's where I explore. I can't have any feeling in the back of my brain of how can I monetize this, because I have a brain that works that way. As soon as I flip that switch, I'm going with it. And that's not the point for me. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. There's literally nothing wrong with doing that. I just had to ask myself, which comes back to taking my own advice, what's it for? It's not about making money and these other things. It's literally about me expressing myself and learning how to show up. That's it. And when I look at my Instagram, I want it to be just kind of like a journal. I like being able to look back at that and see, what I was doing at the time, what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was going through. That's the really cool part about documenting your life. And that's all I want from it. I don't really want it to be a place where I'm like teaching or trying to serve other people. It's really about me. And some people can do both in the same space, which is fine. It's just, I don't think it's how my brain works. So I'm going to honor that, And then Craft Uncommon, this business that I'm building, that's a space where things are going to be a little less like rough around the edges than my Tracing Threads content would be. And that's a place where that's about other people. That's about like me serving a community. And then that's where I would like teach and things like that. But that's a different thing. So with Tracing Threads, I'm so happy if it's just kind of a document of me. It's just a document of my process, because as I always say, like, process over outcome is really what I care about. And I love being able to see how other people think through things and how people kind of grow and change and navigate what's going on with them. And it's really cool to look back on yourself. Actually, okay, so I already kind of explained what I want my Instagram to be. And with YouTube, I have had in my head for years that I just want to do these like rambly sit down videos. And every time I try to make it into a thing, and I think about, I would love to do vlogs or something one day, or kind of more proper edited videos, but that's not really what I need right now. Right now, I'm just practicing showing up. I want to practice speaking and feeling good in front of a camera and explaining my ideas. And it's the whole thing that you don't write to tell people what you have to say. You write to figure out what you have to say. And in speaking and in writing, like, that's how I've learned so much about myself and what I want, and kind of found these nuggets that I'm going to end up running with in my business. But I don't get that stuff until I have this process. And last night I was going through my phone and I found all of these videos. I started basically doing vlogs a couple years ago. So I just have all these videos on my phone, but I've never posted them. And I have a lot of videos from when I really wasn't doing that well. And I'd go to like a bulk barn parking lot by my parents' house and just riff on like how I was doing and what was up, just because I wanted to document like what was going on with me. And I remember back then too, I had this idea because I read pretty much every morning, and that usually, or I journal, and that usually brings up some little nugget that I just wanted to kind of riff on. And I thought, okay, why don't you do that every morning? You just like turn on a camera and you just kind of ramble on a topic for 5 minutes. So this is a thing I've wanted to do for a while, but haven't done. Which brings me to the one thing that I have learned is that our only job, I think, as humans, is to follow our curiosity. It's to follow those nudges. So the thing in your head that you're like, I should do that. And it just feels right, even if you can't really explain it or it doesn't make sense. That's the thing you should do. That's like the only thing you should do, because it's by following that we find the work that's meant for us. It's only when we start layering on the shoulds and looking around at what other people are doing, or, oh, if I'm going to bother doing this thing, like posting a video to YouTube, then it better look like everything else that's on YouTube. Like, no, just run with that gut instinct. I really think that's like one of the most worthwhile ways that we can spend our time. And that, yeah, it's okay to do that. And it's okay to not know if it's going to work. And it's okay if it doesn't work. And it's okay if it does work. And we're just allowed to explore. And we're allowed to have spaces that don't have purposes, that like don't have some specific outcome, where we purely just play. Like, we're allowed to make art, like just make random stuff and see what happens. I think we need those spaces. And that doesn't have to be like online the way that I'm doing it, but like find a space to carve out in your life that's for you. And you get to do whatever you want. Just follow those nudges. Oh gosh, okay. One Take Tuesday, #1 in the books. Bye.